Welcome back to Conrail's Ohio and West Virginia Division HO scale layout. This is going to be a layout update for June as well as July, and more than likely will be considered part of August too. I've procrastinated a little bit these last few months and haven't really been around to doing much video editing or filming or anything, so let's go ahead and show off some of what I've been up to the last few months. I don't have a lot, but I guess it will be a lot because it's 2 months worth, so let's go ahead and see some of what's been going on the layout here. Alright, so I believe the last anybody saw the layout was back at the end of May, and this was all kind of starting to come together at the time. As you can see now, we've got it going along pretty good here. I got this crossing in here. I used this, what the heck's this stuff called? Asphalt terrain from A&K Interactive for it. Came out pretty good. It's not perfect, but nice looking crossing. Looks like it's freshly paved, and that's kind of what I was going for there. Also got this little sign here. Hopefully that's showing up in the camera right down here. Got that from scalesigns.com. They make these little signs. They're pretty cool looking. They've got like all the rust and stuff on there. I'd highly recommend them. They're pretty cheap. They're like $5 each, but they look absolutely excellent. So I can't really recommend them enough. But got this crossing area kind of like what I wanted to. This front track will be used. This back track will not be. It'll just be kind of like an abandoned storage track area. So let me go ahead and turn the camera here and see if I could get some of the other area here opposite of where we're looking at right now. All right, so now we're looking our basically opposite of the direction before. We're looking more into Sherman Yard here. Went ahead and got some of these poles put up here, the old pole lines. Also got some more signals in. Got these type G signals. This one's for our number 2 track. Number 1 track is on the other side of this overpass here, which I'll get a better shot of here momentarily. But that was the other project I worked on, was adding more signals to the layout and trying to get that all working, to get some more blocks together. The layout's not really big enough for the number of signals I'm trying to run, but I kind of like how they look and I think they're cool. So just kind of make them work in here. So that's a little bit of what we got going on over here. We'll go ahead and pan over to the other side of the bridge here in the next shot. All right, now we're on the opposite side of our bridge here, and here we can see our type G signals here, and the sensors for them are right in here. I apologize, this train's sitting up here in the front, but I got a lot of things to show, and I was trying to have things somewhat arranged so I could make this video without having to move stuff around 100 times. So but this is going to be known as location on the railroad known as Duke. That's my uncle's nickname, so gotta throw that on there. But that's what this location will be. And then from here to the next set of signals down on the opposite end of the yard is pretty much dark territory, so to speak. I didn't connect wires from one set to another to make a block there, but I may do that down the road. I haven't quite decided yet. But that was kind of the main stuff I really worked on the layout. I didn't really do much else. The signals took 2 weeks to do, and getting the crossing to go in and look decent, and just kind of doing little small details here and there. I can't quite remember everything I did, and of course I forgot to write it all down as I went. So let's go ahead and move on to some locomotives I've been working on that I'd like to show off as well. Alright, so our first locomotive we're going to take a look at here, a quick look, is the Conrail 6627 here. This is a C36-7. This is actually I think it's Pacific Northwest Resins shell that I put on an Atlas motor and drive. It's got ESU loc sound, keep alive, LED headlights, number boards, ditch lights, marker lights. You guys know the drill with me. Do everything the same. So did that in a weathering job. There will be a build video out on this locomotive at some point. I have it all filmed. I actually just finished this, putting this together last week, but I have to edit all that together, do all the voiceover stuff and everything for that video, so it's probably not going to be out for another month or two whenever I get around to editing it. Hopefully this will be out here shortly. It's currently the first week of August, so I've been procrastinating a little bit. If I remember to, I'll put in a little picture of why I've been procrastinating a little bit. Have some new engineers and conductors here on the railroad, if you will, some little furry ones that have really taken up a lot of time here lately. So enough of that. Let's keep on going here, and let's move on to the next locomotive. All right, so next up on our tour day locomotives is the 6619, a Conrail C32-8. This particular locomotive is kind of neat because it was wrecked sometime in 1998. It was the only C32-8 to be repainted into the quality scheme before the end of Conrail, like after they were all painted into the Ballast Express gray scheme. And when it was wrecked, they kept the original rounded cab, but they put a -8 style headlight and number board deal on it, so it's pretty much a one-off unit. There will be a build video on this as well whenever I get around to editing it. Overall, it came out pretty good. It's a rail power shell, Atlas motor and drive, bunch of details. I had to hand bend the handrails. That's why this is kind of wonky here where it kind of bends down. What are you going to do? I'm not perfect, guys. I just try to make it as best I can. And I also, when I did the cab here, I had to kind of compromise and put the headlight and number boards a little bit lower than I wanted because, of course, I wanted everything to be lighted. So that was kind of a bit of a compromise, but I still think it looks pretty dang good for, you know, something you can't buy and something you have to kit bash and build. So overall, I'm happy with that one. Let's move on to the next ones here. All right, I know what you're thinking. I am not going to start modeling NS, guys, but I have a thing. I really like SD40-2s, and I'm kind of a sucker for a deal. So this unit here, the 6074, as well as the 6107, were locomotives I got a really good deal on eBay because somebody bought them as Norfolk and Western units and decided to try and turn them into Penn Central ones. Didn't make much sense to me, but whatever. Everybody does what they do. But I actually picked them up DCC and sound equipped for a really, really, really good deal I couldn't pass up. And I figured, you know what, I'd be kind of neat to have a couple more SD40-2s that are NS here. So these were, of course, redecal, redo deals. Luckily, one of them had the white stripe and the other one has the just regular 90s NS scheme. So went ahead and opened up the cab doors on the 6074, added ditch lights on both units. Just a light weathering, a little bit different on each one, but overall I'm very happy with how these turned out. These were kind of a quick project, nothing too crazy, just a little touch of painting and decaling, a little wiring, nothing too wild to have to do. So those were a couple more projects I did here during July. Pretty much I worked on those, as well as finished up the 2 Conrail units I just showed. So from here, let's go ahead and move on to some stuff I've been messing with back here. I think I did these ones in ended May, June is when these next ones were done. All right, so I believe this was probably in progress, the last update video I showed, the Cotton Belt 6874 SD45T-2. Pretty freaking cool unit. This was an Athearn model. I detailed, weathered, did the whole works too. LED headlights, ditch lights, number boards, all the cool stuff. Kind of weathered it to a late 90s look. So just kind of something cool, something else I wanted to mess with. Wanted to have a little foreign power going on here. Got a little carried away, obviously, with the NS ones, but you know, you have that sometimes. So this was the first one, and then there'll be 2 SD40s here I'll show momentarily. All right, next up on our list of projects was an SD40R, I believe is what they were on the Southern Pacific. It was an SD40 rebuild. Again, as you can tell, this one's got a really heavy fade on it because I think these were painted in the early 90s and they faded out pretty bad towards the later part of the 90s, so went a little heavy. What are you gonna do? But this was an Athearn ready to roll unit. Had to add all the bliff rings and separate number board lighting and all that fun stuff, but came out pretty cool. And then next up, I'll slide these down here. And of course, it's gonna derail. That's about right. Never fails. But here we have an SD40M-2. These were another rebuild unit. I can't remember who did it, but somebody out there will know, I'm sure. Comment down below. But these were rebuilt in the 90s for Southern Pacific right before they became part of Union Pacific. And wanted to have one of these on the way out too. Another Athearn ready-to-roll unit. Had to add the lip rings and all that fun jazz too, but came out pretty cool. Just 2 very different paint styles, I guess you'd say, with the very, very faded, you know, SP repaint, and then the factory rebuild for SP that didn't really fade but got very, very dirty. So I believe that's all of the locomotives I have to show, unless I'm forgetting some, which I probably am. But let's go ahead and move on to some of the freight carriage projects I've been up to. Alright, so first up on our freight car projects here are some Rapido FlexiFlow covered hoppers I did. These just have a lot of streaking, just a bunch of oil paint pretty much, white oil paint streaking down the side of them. I have 2 Conrail cars and then the MDTX down here, the Merchants Dispatch one down there. Those were a big project, and then I got some box cars I'll show here right up next. Alright, so the first box car we're going to look at here, this is actually a Tangent X58 car I picked up from an older run. I didn't have one of these ones, so Madge picked this one up and just gave it a decent weathering, nothing too crazy. Got a little, some marks here and there and all that stuff. Come down here, this Moloko box car. This was another project here recently, been working on. This one was just kind of a very, very light weathering, nothing too crazy. Wanted it to look kind of fresh because I also picked up another one of these Moloko box cars, and this one we really weathered the snot out of, so gotta have a little variation in this stuff. Alright, so further on down the line here, we actually have a cotton belt box car as well that I weathered. That horse is buried in the yard and kind of hard to get out right now, so we're gonna have to just make this work as far as getting a good shot of it. You'll see it going by in a train in a video, but this was a project that was also worked on here recently. Kind of been in a boxcar mood, so that's what I've been doing. Alright, and over here in the back, of course I forgot to park these somewhere where I could get to them easy, but there's a pair of Seaboard Central boxcars with the doors open. So these will be a video as well eventually whenever I get around to editing it, but I'm sure a lot of you are fans of the Seaboard Central like I am, and Mr. Tim Garwin does an awesome layout, awesome work. I've learned quite a bit from watching his videos, and picked up these 2 box cars, went ahead and had to open the door when I found out they popped off, so got a little bit of interior. You got, it might show up there as a pallet laying in there on the floor. I made a fake floor for interior of the car. And then just added some light weathering to them. I didn't want them to look too beat up because if I remember correctly, he said these would have been new to the railroad in the 90s or newish. So didn't want to have them too beat up, but at the same time wanted them to look a little bit used here on the railroad. So look for a video on this sometime in the next month or 2 whenever I get around to editing all the footage together. But I had 2 different ones I did here because I have to have 2 of everything. Don't ask me why, but that's the way we do things. I believe that's everything, unless I'm forgetting something. Pretty sure I covered these in the last layout video I did. Maybe not the last update video, but CSX covered hoppers. I gotta edit the video together for this too. I got a lot of videoing to do, guys. So yeah, 2 of these that I did that I weathered slightly different, but other than that, that's pretty much what I've been working on. I've just been very, very busy and haven't really gotten around to editing video here recently, so hopefully you guys will stay tuned and I'll be able to get some stuff together here and have some cool stuff to show in the next month or 2. As always, thanks for watching and see you next time.